What famous place is not worth visiting? Me, an Egyptian. Ah shit, here we go again. Egypt, they treat tourists like garbage. Yeah, heard that from multiple people. I guess I'll just stay in the hotel then. Depends on whether you're a man or woman. I, as a woman, couldn't even get the Wi-Fi password without a man accompanying me. The waiters were also terrible and flirtatious. Though if you're a man, you have to deal with the salesman. We couldn't lay by the pool at the hotel for more than 15 minutes before a salesman wanted to talk with the man of the group. A border policeman in Egypt once asked me for a bribe to cut in a long line. $3 well spent. Times Square on New Year's Eve. Just forget it. It has never been worth it. I remember a radio host I heard as a kid said the following. The amazing thing about Times Square on New Year's Eve isn't that you get tens of thousands of people there every year, it's that you get a whole different set of tens of thousands of people there each year. Nobody wants to do it twice, because it's cold and boring and crowded and filthy. You'll also never see the ball drop unless you're willing to wait on day and risk soiling yourself in the freezing cold while you sober up too soon. In case anyone thinks you're joking, people really do piss themselves at this thing. There's nowhere to go. In 3rd grade, a meteor crashed in the backyard of a kid's house in my neighborhood. He talked about it every day at school and said people weren't allowed to see because NASA was collecting samples. A few days later he said we could go see, but everyone had to pay $5. Me and a few friends paid him and went over his house later that day. When we got to the backyard, we saw a 3-foot deep hole that was clearly dug by a shovel. We called him out on it, and he said something like, "That's where it landed, but the scientists dug around it with shovels to take samples." Worst $5 I've ever spent. I have no idea where you are nowadays, but fuck you, Benji. Benji's either a millionaire or in jail. Plymouth Rock in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It's literally just a small rock. Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's a sidewalk, and outside of maybe big events where they may clean the ones around where photos may be taken, it otherwise is just covered in dirt from people's shoes, and some are barely legible because they haven't been cleaned in ages. Haha, this is the answer for sure. Every time I'm in LA and someone wants to go, I'm like, look, whatever's in your head, keep that image, it's just better, I promise. That being said, walking it and finding stars is kinda fun if you have to walk that street anyways. Like it's a fun street to walk. Just a terrible place to have as a destination. Yeah, I was disappointed in how dirty the whole area was. I work close to Times Square in Manhattan. If you have an ad blocker on your computer, you will hate Times Square. Niagara Falls is a really cool sight, but it's not worth a trip if you're staying on the American side. The Canadian side is way better and has more things to do. I live 15 minutes from Niagara Falls, and our family was talking about this just yesterday. There's a major international tourist attraction right on their doorstep, but the city of Niagara Falls, New York, is a crime-ridden dump. Land's End, UK. Heralded as the 4th most disappointing attraction in the UK. It's not even disappointing enough to win an award. Edit. I mean the landmark in Cornwall, not a clothing store. Deary me. Egypt. It's like if phone scams were a materialized location. You get there and right away the airport is going to start scamming you, take your electronics away and tell you that you need permits for them, which they will gladly sell you, and then tell you that it's the wrong one and have you buy another one. The hotel you stay at will check your bags again like the airport did and again tell you that you need permits, or whatever random thing they decide they can get away telling you needs one. The police will extort money from you if they think they can. Fake police will come up to you and fine you or tell you to follow them to different sites where they will charge you. Children will run up to you and ask if you want to ride their camel very aggressively. They will cut you off with their camel and not let you move forward, tell you it's free, and then try to charge you insane amounts of money and call their camel pimp over to deal with you if you don't pay. If you don't get on the camel, they will often even get the camel to attack you. It's all pretty wild, it's not worth it. Reading a lot of frustration about Egypt here, but learning about the existence of camel pimps really takes this up a notch. Camels need pimps to hold their money, they don't have pockets. And this is why you should always hire a well-vetted tour guide when touring countries that struggle with corruption and bribery. Hollywood Walk of Fame, dirty-ass street with cheap shops and homeless everywhere. Only nice spot was near the theater. I came here to say this if no one else had. I have lived in the greater LA region my whole life. I can confirm the Walk of Fame is terrible, at least when I went. Last time I went was when I was 10. I remember a bunch of people in character costumes and trying to get people to take pictures with them for money. There were also people hawking CDs and demanding money after shoving them into some unwitting sap's hands. At no point was I there without at least one parent holding my hand tightly. I will concede this was over 15 years ago, though. Hearing mixed things about it now. While the Louvre is amazing and can consume entire days of walking, don't bother fighting the crowds to see the Mona Lisa. It's tiny and has a crowd of tourists dozens deep all taking pictures. No flash photography, be damned, so all you see is flash reflecting off the protective glass. Also, rumor has it that the real Mona Lisa is in a basement, and that the one you see is just a very convincing replica. I went to the Louvre in 2009, and the painting opposite the Mona Lisa was significantly more impressive. A 20-foot-tall canvas encompassing the entire wall was a very detailed painting of a courtroom if I remember right. Spent more time looking at that cause I could barely see the Mona Lisa through the crowds. Plymouth Rock. I don't know how famous it really is outside of New England, but it's a rock that marks where the Pilgrims supposedly first landed in Massachusetts. It is quite literally just a medium-sized rock with 1620 carved in it, but every elementary school teacher around Massachusetts at least hypes it up for the class field trip to see a literal rock that is not big, impressive, or really historically relevant. Driving an hour on a bus to see this was the most anticlimactic thing, and I would not particularly recommend. Dubai is a twisted parody of everything wrong with modern society, and I judge anyone who goes there for their Insta pics. I read some comment online that Dubai is like someone was playing SimCity in sandbox mode and just said fuck it to any kind of planning or organization. The fact that as developed as Dubai is, it's still so heavily reliant on septic tanks tell you all you really need to know. It really is like little kids playing SimCity, just putting down landmarks instead of building roads and sewers. Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. It used to be the border between the US and Soviet sectors, but all that's left of it is a shack and a sign, and the only thing you can do is pay to get your photo taken with someone in uniform. There's a frickin' McDonald's next to it. Leaning Tower of Pisa, just a small town without much going on, then a ton of tourists pretending to hold it up. Go to Florence instead. Pisa should be done as a train day trip from Florence. Within that mentality, Pisa is a great town. See the tower with the baptistry and crypts, then the university gardens, then back to the train for dinner in Florence. Platform 9 3/4 in King's Cross Station, London. Stupid metal statue on a straight wall, a horrible queue to taking a photo with you on it, and another 100-meter-long queue to the small and very expensive Harry Potter shop. I was there middle of the day in off-season, don't want to even think about it on high season. Dubai. Dubai looks like a giant cleaned-up Las Vegas strip. Like, it has the style of someone who has no taste but a lot of money to make something look like their interpretation of fancy and high class. The charm of Vegas is how fucking filthy it is, though. Like, you go there and think, wow, this city should not exist, but it does, and there's a stripper smoking crack next to the giant water fountain in the middle of a wasteland. Then you go to Dubai and think, wow, I can't believe the world just let them build this monument to a capitalist dystopia with actual slaves kidnapped from their home countries. Vegas is so bad it's charming. The air is so dusty that your eyes sting. You'll get sunburned if you stay out for more than half an hour without SPF 120, and the locals really figured out how to squeeze money out of you so you don't dehydrate. But it's the only place you can see a guy dressed up as Iron Man getting a picture with a topless lady in body paint in front of a gold tower. Vegas is like a so bad it's good movie. Dubai is a sin, proof that humanity has lost its way and that God has abandoned us. Llanfair Pulg Wynjilgo Jerich Wendro Bull Silio Gogagak in Wales, nothing there except an Edinburgh Wallen Mills shop, which is just silly as Edinburgh is nearly 300 miles away. Meh. I went there to take a photo by the train station sign. I got a photo by the train station sign. The whole experience was exactly what I expected, and I was completely whelmed. Maybe less famous than the question meant, but about 15 years ago my friends and I took a road trip to Centralia, Pennsylvania, the abandoned town with a decades-long mine fire burning under it that the Silent Hill movie was loosely based on. We thought there would be tons of abandoned buildings to look at, creepy places to see, adventure to be had. We were so excited. And we were like 6 or 7 hours away, so it sounded like a fun trip. We got there, and there was just nothing. All of the buildings are gone. The creepiest thing we found was a very well taken care of cemetery, and the only really abandoned thing to see was the stretch of interstate that had been routed around, which had a little bit of fun graffiti on it back then, but in years since it's become just a giant paint stain. We ended up driving to Gettysburg instead and going on some ghost tours, so it was still a fun trip, but there was like nothing to see in Centralia at all. Hollywood. I don't mean in the colloquial sense, but rather the actual neighborhood. The neighborhood includes the Walk of Fame and the Chinese Theater. The neighborhood is sketchy, dirty, filthy, disorganized, high crime, and just plain icky, and has been that way since at least the 1950s. The absolute worst period was from the mid-1970s to the mid-1990s, but the neighborhood just sucks less today. Hell, there's a big reason that the residents of West Hollywood literally seceded from any association with the Hollywood community, and formed their own municipality in 1984. There are plenty of fun entertainment industry-related things to do throughout the Los Angeles area, in Hollywood, as the world understands it. Just not Hollywood proper. Stonehenge. Sorry UK folks. I love you and I love the UK, but 5 minutes at Stonehenge is enough. The trick is to get a tour guide that can get you in the inner circle. It's only worth it if you do that. Cairo. Filthiest, rudest, lousiest, stinkiest and most sexual assaultiest place I've ever been. Even the locals seem to fucking hate it there. Everyone is pissed off and trying to steal from you. Every street crossing is a death trap. All the men seem to think it's okay to grope women in public. Child labor everywhere. Animal abuse everywhere. Lack of sanitation everywhere, and no clean drinking water. Random military checkpoints everywhere. Corrupt cops and soldiers asking for bribes everywhere. The entire city seems to be run on a convoluted system of kickbacks. Edit. Thank you to the brave Egyptian patriots who are kindly reporting me to the Reddit Helps Suicide hotline. My vacation to your crummy city was 14 years ago, and with a lot of help, I seem to be fully recovered. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.